Some key members that were part of Blitzkrieg include Saint Rules the Hopeful, who kept the clan alive during one of Dane's many absences, which led to the Allfather's renewed inspiration about the fate of WA when he saw Rules taking charge. WA Lieutenant was another member, who was responsible for the line that led to the recruitment of Thief, which ended up founding his own house. There was also Kvasir, also known as Jagalotis, the first lord of House Blitzkrieg after the original founder. Kvasir was an incredibly important member during the early days of WA, taking command of Thor's hammer and the Encyclopedia Starcraftica, then even becoming acting fleet admiral and being promoted all the way to admiral. He took on these roles during a time period where WA's leadership had a very high turnover rate. One of the remnants of his role within WA is called the Kvasir Letters, correspondence that Kvasir and Dane had over email that Dane posted in full on the forums. If you would like a bit of insight into how StarCraft WA functioned in those days, I urge you to find this post and take a look. Following in the footsteps of Kvasir was Lord de Grey, and finally the last Lord, Slicer. Although House Blitzkrieg didn't seem to have any active traditions like House Commander's blood names and House Dane's name quests, they did in fact have a German Empire theme prevalent in their symbolism and representation. Their first official coat of arms featured the Iron Cross, a military decoration from Germany that the house adopted as one of their symbols. The coat of arms also featured their primary icon, a clenched fist known as the Fist of Tyr. Most often, the fist would be pointed towards the viewer, but in the case of this emblem, it was pointed upwards. Finally, their iconic catchphrase was displayed proudly for all to see, the Stalwart Hope. This represented the two key figures that best exemplified the house, Saint Blitzkrieg the Stalwart and Saint Rules the Hopeful. Their second coat of arms, and the one still in use today to represent the dead house, is that of a shield adorned with the aforementioned Fist of Tyr, with two WA suns hanging below it. Featured above the suns is the name of Tyr, the Norse war god presiding over matters of law and justice. Surrounding Tyr are once again the words Stalwart and Hope. Because of this prominent text on the shield of the house and the heavy use of the fist, along with certain posts on our forums, it's been confirmed that Tyr is in fact the patron deity of Blitzkrieg. It is worth noting that House Thief came from House Blitzkrieg, but that is a subject for another discussion. In March of 2006, House Blitzkrieg participated in the first House War, which was a recruitment competition. They performed admirably, but lost to House Commander, who won the prize of Minor House Kilroy. Not everything about House Blitzkrieg was positive. There was a division called the Hand of Tyr based on World of Warcraft. It consisted entirely of Blitzkrieg members and was led by a member named Big Bad during the First Empire era. We don't know much about the events that took place, but we have records implying that this group turned traitor and rebelled against WA. However, this was only an exception. Most members of Blitzkrieg were in fact good and loyal, contributing to the clan in significant ways. So what happened to this once great house? After many years of activity, the group lost many of its members to the passage of time and had to eventually merge with the slightly more populated House Thief. Unfortunately, House Thief was destined for the same fate, and once the fusion House Blitzkrieg Thief had lost most of its members as well, they were absorbed into House Commander. This in a way made Suraker Ultima Thief the final lord of the house. However, if we're talking about a proper lord of House Blitzkrieg, the last lord would have been Slicer, as mentioned earlier. There was also a small ray of hope that could have saved the house from fading into obscurity. One of the last remaining members of House Blitzkrieg was named Agarn. Agarn was Slicer's son and heir to the lordship of Blitzkrieg. Unfortunately, Agarn came back from a period of inactivity to the already merged houses of Blitzkrieg Thief. He made the promise to recruit and revive his house, but he inexplicably disappeared during the middle of the Second Empire era, never to be seen again. This was the last nail in the coffin, dooming House Blitzkrieg to the annals of our history. So, what did I personally take away from all of this? After having researched the topic of House Blitzkrieg, I'm saddened to see so little information on members from our past. I think that all members that have graced our meat hall, from admirals to high kings, from ensigns to thanes, from huscarls to lieutenants, from honored Einherjar to proud warrior, should be remembered. Our ancient clan prides itself on being better than your average online group of ragtag gamers, and our proud recorded history is one of the major factors that elevates us from mere clan to thriving online community. It is unfortunate that some of our brothers and sisters, warriors who laughed with us, warriors that fought with us, and warriors that experienced 1,000 victories and 1,000 defeats with us, may have been forgotten, swept away by the unforgiving tides of time. I'd like for all of us to take this following lesson to heart. This may be a gaming clan, but it's also an online community. We don't all play the same games, and we may not always interact with one another, but we're all family, not only by our shared link to all Father Dane, but bound by our camaraderie. None of us should be forgotten, and this is why I think that the work the officers do, the dedicated members, and the multitude of guilds active in the Warriors of Aesir is crucial in keeping the spirit of this clan alive. This may be overly serious to some of you, but I really do like this little piece of internet we've carved out for ourselves over these past 17 years, and I appreciate what all the members that came before me have done. Let us not forget them, even if they may have forgotten us. House Blitzkrieg may have some history still remaining, but I still think it's a prime example about my point here. Let us not forget the individuals of the past, those brave warriors of old. Thank you.
Hurrah.
All right.
Cool story, bro.
Clapping as best I can with push to talk.
I would also the reason why there's so little information on a bunch of these older members is because our first two websites got kamikazed, and those first two websites held a lot of information on those old members.
My point still stands. It
Right.
sucks that we don't know much about them. So
Right.
Yeah, and especially, if you look outside of rules and Blitzkrieg, because, there was a pretty good effort in previous years to, we should have information on every Einayar, but outside of that, there's very little. And, I think it's probably because, well, the people in House Dane are probably like, let's worry about House Dane. People in House Dippity are like, let's worry about House Dippity. So Blitzkrieg, Thief, and, to some degree, Kilroy are... Yeah, a lot has been lost. Kilroy in slightly better spot because they had the Codex for the Jade Falcons, they had a functioning Knight Order, and Kilroy, their lord, was around for a long time, and he was last seen a couple of years ago, but I think he and Dane did a pretty good job of recording things, so there's a fair amount of information about House Kilroy.
I'm pretty sure Kilroy came around not too long ago, actually. Just to I remember seeing him.
On the Discord server?
I think so.
Oh, maybe. I feel like I'd remember it, but maybe I forgot.
Maybe it's forums.
In the case of Blitzkrieg, as far as I know, they were also pretty short-lived in the grand scheme of things. So
they were. I think they sound cool. But if you really look at things, on the timeline, Blitzkrieg wasn't really a group. It wasn't officially a house till 2005. It was not even really a significant group until probably beginning of 2004, and was basically dead by the end of 2006. So you're really looking about, at best, 2.5 to 3 years of full activity there. Whereas you look at something like House Dippity, Dane, or Commander are running on pretty much 14 years uninterrupted of being significant houses. And more so than that. That was officially, but of course, Dippity, Dane, and Commander, yeah, all, because Commander was the first recruit at WA. Dippity was recruited 2 months after WA started, and of course, Dane is Dane. So they've all had their roots around since basically 2001.
I find it funny that we just talked about Blitzkrieg, and then we have House Thief, which was an offshoot of House Blitzkrieg. So it's like even more obscure and just down there. It kind of sucks because we always say that we have all these houses, but 2 of them are not only dead but kind of forgotten.
And even more so, like Hivasanka, Irvindale. There's a bunch of them just gone.
Yeah, forgotten families from each house as well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Minor houses.
And also, I'm not sure, I know you were around Vestborger when it happened, but I do remember Agarn coming back onto the forums and pledging to bring the house back.
Yeah.
And it was like...
Go ahead.
It was within a week that he just disappeared. Like he gave it a solid 5 days attempt, and he was just out.
Yeah, I was telling Pato about that. Yeah, I mean, I think he was last seen. What was it? Maybe 3 years ago. Because he left and then he did pop back. Just for like a second, like one or two more times, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad. When he came back, of course, everyone was excited because I feel like Blitzkrieg was one of those houses. Everyone is like, oh, they look so cool. Like it'd be so awesome if Blitzkrieg was a thing again. And he came back, and everyone's like, yeah. And then he just disappears.
Yep.
It's the unfortunate thing. It's like we want them to be revived, but we also want to respect the fact that we can't revive them on our own. We have to have one of the original members come back, and that's what's cool about our concept and how we work. But it's just frustrating because wouldn't it be awesome if we had House Thief and House Blitzkrieg revived, and we have all these houses? But what can we do?
I mean, it would be sacrilege.
I completely agree.
We we have another clan merge with us, and then we have, like, you know how previous houses would fight over merging clans, right? We just have one of our, like, members that's really bad at a game fight a hard level bot over it.
We just have to. You have to choose a battlefield that Ultima will beat everybody on. What is he really good at? Maple Story or something? I don't know.
See,
Disappearing.
you just gotta like log in as somebody, pull a day and be like, yeah, I'm so and so from house whatever, and I'm gonna get that one recruit. Then I'm never gonna be seen again. And that one recruit's gonna keep getting recruits and so on, and bring the house back. It's like, oh yeah, that was really me. Logging in.
Vess is gonna look at the IP address and be like, wait, this is the same as Khan's.
Yeah, Kusti, I think your recruit is getting a little too many recruits. I think we gotta move her back to our house.
No, and no, and also Foos, get a recruit.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of, I want to say it's the charm. I don't know if this is the right word of WA is the way the houses are. It's almost chance, really, because you can be really good at recruiting and recruit a ton of people, but who's to say any of your recruits will recruit somebody? And yeah, I mean, let's say you got one house that winds up becoming really successful. You might have another house that dies out, and you can't really adjust for like things like war bands where you can say, oh well, this war band's kind of not doing so well. Let's move some people over, or let's move this officer over here.
Yeah, I mean, who here is probably like the lowest, or not lowest, but like the farthest descendant from their original like house lords or creators? I think I'm like 6th level. What are you, Vest?
Pretty far down. Let's if I had to estimate from Dane or from like Dippity.
From Dane.
Maybe 8th or 9th, something like that.
Wait, does that make me 3rd from Commander?
Yeah, Khan, I mean, technically through Frostall for, being the adopted son of Commander, Khan would be very close.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I don't want to say it's safe to say, no one here is like guaranteed to keep going, but like some of us are pretty far down. And where we're at now. So
well, let's examine the Hrothlings. Fold was recruited by Solite, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Solite was recruited by
Khan.
Okay. That's not that far down. Because then it's Commander, Frost, Khan, Fold,
You missed
myself. Oh, Solite. Whoops. What?
It's okay,
I'm having a hard time visualizing it.
So you're 6th level as well.
Sounds about right.
I'm saying levels. That's totally not
No,
to Rotterdams, but that's like 6 generations. What I should be saying. So yeah, I think there is definitely hope at the end of these tunnels when it comes to our recruits recruiting as like WA reaches its 50th anniversary.
Well, it's one thing. I think that at this point we've been around long enough. Not to say that WA could never die ever, but I think we've been around long enough that it's kind of a novelty, and I think people feel like it's something they need to help preserve because of how long it's gone on now. Like back in 2001, there's like a billion clans. Nobody would have really cared. Like, I was in 4 different clans that all died, and within a month, I don't care about WA. But now we've been around, 4 months shy of 18 years. By this point, I feel like, and also people who have been in the clan a long time too, kind of feel like it's something they need to work to keep alive. And I feel like there's some newer members too that kind of feel like they joined in on something that's been going on a long time, and then they kind of like that aspect of it.
WA is almost legal.
Yikes! But it's safe to say, like, it's safe to say that if I were to drop out of WA tomorrow, and from a year from now I decided to come back, it'd be there. It'd still be there, and it's like you can't say that for a lot of clans, which is really cool. And also the fact that if a Ragnarok 2.0, as we call it, were to happen, and shit hit the fan, and Discord got deleted, and not like our website went down, there'd be somebody that would probably gather up a good amount of us and put things back together. It's safe to say it would come back.
Oh yeah. The one thing, and I think from a storytelling perspective, it's almost a little disappointing, but from a leadership perspective, it's refreshing to know that I don't think a Ragnarok or anything close to it could ever really happen again, because I think you'd have to be, so one problem I think with WA back then was so much drama. Everyone was really young. I mean, Dane was young. All of his officers were young. So all these people in charge of everything being very young, liking drama, involved in all of that stuff. I don't want to say it's impossible, but I feel like there's a lot of factors at play that would have to all swap.
Back then,
Are
you
you
had
saying you're an old
Battle.net.
man, Vest?
Compared to 2001 Dane, yeah.
12-year-old Dane?
Wow.
I think what really separates us from back then was back then, you had the Brood War channel and you had the forums. Both of those were easily hackable, and you could just lose them overnight. And our solid rock that we have now is we're backed pretty much by a enormous company with very deep pockets that can keep their things going. So even if we lose the forums, knock on wood, we will always have Discord. They'll always be here, and that's an entire company for some hacker to take on. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, the Battle.net channels were like the Wild West back there. It's like who could just outgun the other person, or who could infiltrate the best, and take over things from the inside, and
Throw as many
hacking
bots
other
as
people's
possible.
forums, or getting faux recruits into positions of power to like take things down from the inside.
It's what made for cool stories that we have now, but it just wouldn't work very well nowadays.
It would literally take like an entire house just
Yeah.
leaving or stirring shit
The-
up, which isn't gonna happen.
The only thing even close to that is something like EVE Online, where you have some CEO like raid corporate wallets and like skedaddle and like crash sovereignty structures and stuff. Other than that, like what else?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe a WoW guild, maybe. But
Yeah, and even, with the website and forums, I have so many backups. The web host company has backups. I have backups on external hard drives. I have backups on my computers. It'd be really
upon
hard.
Backups.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be really hard to do anything in WA.
out in the cloud somewhere.
I guess,
If you-
knock on wood again, but
Not just one cloud, but all the clouds.
oh yeah.
If you wanted some of the old WA story, we could just go bully other clans like we used to.
We did actually. I was on What happened? Oh, I must have gotten banned because it's not on my list anymore. Whose server did we find? Rand, didn't you find it?
Jam.
Yeah. Well, you. Oh no, you found Jam. That's right. But there was another one. I think it was IA that we found.
Actually, Soullight found Jam, and he went and talked to them, and then they banned him.
Oh, because we found like Anaconda is still around and has a Discord server with like 4 people in it, but it's
their
still
old
there.
wounds still sting.
Do I hear raiding party? Question mark.
I mean, what would he go there?
In-
Go into their Discord, type "you suck." and then-
Everybody into the longship. Go.
No, just shitpost.
Just salute.
Just spam pictures of Matt Damon.
Roll in there and
Garbage
just,
tier memes.
just
I
salute. yeah.
like to think we're above their level now, and that we're also above randomly hacking other people's clans and stuff like that.
Oh
Alright.
no,
One
not
would
just
like
to
hacking,
think.
sending random pictures of Matt Damon
Why Matt Damon?
because Matt Damon.
Why not Matt Damon?
Why not
Exactly.
Nicolas Cage?
Rad gets it.
Because
That's what the
Nicolas
next
Cage
factor is going to be about. Do we
he's
post
too
Nick
mean.
Cage or Matt Damon memes on IA's server?
Oh
No,
god.
no,
the
no,
next
Civil
not
War.
memes,
War.
just
Here we go.
headshots. Just headshots of Matt Damon.
We
It'll
could.
be like the Weebs versus Conrad.
I have not authorized this.
We could do Catgirl Invasion 2.0, but not on our server.
That's fucking genius.
Well, just looking at the clock, we're actually in excess of 45 minutes, so pretty solid long Fireside chat. I do have some bad news I have to break to everybody, which is that I did get a new headset, and I did not check my OBS settings to see that it was utilizing both the audio and the microphone for my new headset. I noticed at the start of Pato's speech and fixed it. But unfortunately, our discussions from before then were not recorded. So
Yikes.
Alright,
This is
everyone,
why
restart
you-
it.
This is why. This is why we
Alright,
had
we're now
the
live.
dogs,
So my bad on that one, but we still discussed it, and I made the notes about it. So progress we made. Unfortunately, we will not have records of the discussion, but yeah.
He recorded it, so later he's just gonna record himself talking in different voices for the Fireside.
I
In
mean,
memory of this, we shall play the bagpipes.
I'm sad that everyone listening to the VOD won't know about Vess's racist rant at the beginning. Wow.
Yeah, it was kind
What
of a
did I
yikes, to be
do?
honest.
Well, does everybody have any closing thoughts before we end the Fireside?
Oh yeah, am I doing the Varger
Yes.
next week? Cause it was cancelled last time.
Yeah, you're doing it next week.
All right.
Cool.
Just make
And
sure
I
it's
just-
only.
Sorry, go ahead.
Make sure it's only 15 minutes long.
All right. I just revived some of my old connections talking to Vidrolf right now.
Oh, nice. Well, anything else before we sign off? Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for showing up. Sorry, yeah, this was a pretty rough stream. I don't know if it's weather related, but I had it cut out a couple of times, and of course the audio. But I have my settings fixed now, so all the future Firesides will, be good in terms of audio at least, because I have it, set up with my headset, new headset, and everything like that. So yeah, apologies for that, but thanks everyone tuning into the VOD or tuning in live. Thanks everyone for showing up, and we'll be back next Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So see you then.